And did she make it in?
Not yet.
Okay.
It
How do we send
is
it to-
4:34 p.m. on Wednesday, July 17th. The board meeting of the Oregon State Board of Nursing is now called to order. A notice of this board meeting was published by Rachel Prusak, Executive Director, in accordance with Opens Meeting Law. If necessary, the board may also meet in executive session as authorized by ORS 192.660 sub 1. ORS 192.6602 F, H, and L. ORS 678.126. ORS 676.165 and ORS 676.175 sub 1. Board members and staff stating they are present are attesting to understanding the confidentiality of executive session and have taken steps to ensure that executive session proceedings are not observed or heard by anyone not authorized by public meeting law, ORS 192.660. Is there a roll call by our secretary?
Yes, Erin Green,
Here.
Linda Stanich,
She'll.
Excused, she's trying to get in and I've sent her an updated link.
okay, Margaret Hill present, Claire McKinley Yoder. Here.
Are you kidding me?
Present.
Joni Callis,
Here.
Marcus Cooksey,
Present.
Michelle Chow,
Here.
Oleniki Tawolabola,
Excused,
Yvonne Yantuan.
excused.
Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's 6 of us, is that correct?
Yep.
There being a quorum present, I declare this board eligible to conduct its business.
And we're just going to do a brief staff roll call.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Rachel Prusak, Executive Director, gonna do a staff call. We can go around the room.
Nicole Van Winkle, Administrative Assistant.
Erin Ferris, Investigations Manager.
I think you've got me, Lauren Rauch here from the Department of Justice, and actually with me here today to meet all of the board members virtually is Kristen Williams, who is another Assistant Attorney General with the Department of Justice, who you may be seeing on some Board of Nursing matters going forward. So happy to be able to introduce her to you all.
And we have Laura Blackhurst with us, if you could announce yourself.
Yes, I'm Laura Blackhurst. I am the Nursing Education Policy Analyst.
Thank
Am
you
I
very much.
missing anybody? I think that's it.
I think that's it for this round.
Great.
All right, before we dive into the rest of the public meeting agenda, there's one addition to the agenda that I wanted to start us off with. We need to discuss a special board meeting date for August. I'll let Director Prusak talk about that.
Thank you. So board members, it came to my attention that one of the pieces that needs to be done for Division 47 to bring it back to you all in a timely manner as that was requested is to have another board meeting. The way that it's going to get posted for a rule hearing, the timeline that it meets for having to be public before having it falls in a way that it wouldn't be able to occur at the August board meeting. And so therefore I was proposing that a very brief, depends on how long you all debate moving the Division 47 on delegation. And I have a feeling it won't be too long given the status of the RAC and where everyone landed. But Monday, the 26th.
Of August.
Of August, yeah, thank you. So we need to have a quorum, and that is so we don't wait till the September board meeting and they can take effect September 1st, which was very important to the Rule Advisory Committee. And I heard from board members to respect that importance. Unfortunately, Linda is having trouble with our meeting link. She was definitely one of the people that felt strongly about having early, but I know Claire, you did too. So, and if that date doesn't work, it can be a different date in August, but it has to fall.
That last week.
Yes, to make the timing of when the rule hearing is and ensuring that we get it done for September 1st.
I can do August 20. Would that be a 4:30 same time frame?
I think we can set whatever time, I mean, after work, whatever that is, 4:35. We've talked about this division quite a bit. The RAC's put in a lot of work as well, so I don't foresee us having a 2-hour meeting about this. I think it's probably more likely to be 15-20 minutes at most.
I'm good. Michelle's shaking her head. Marcus weighed in and said, yes, Joni can't make it. Claire, can you make it?
Michelle, Margaret.
I can,
Yes.
that puts us right at it.
So you would have 5 plus the 3 other board members who might be available.
Yeah. I think if we can plan it for then, and if anything comes up where there's one other person we need, right, out of the 3.
As long as the 5 of us show up, we're good.
Oh,
So
and you have at
we
least
have
one
one public member with Margaret.
Okay, thank you so much.
So we'll schedule that for 4:30, August 26th. A short Zoom meeting.
Thank you all for your flexibility with that. It is really important work that's been done, and I don't want to hold it up on account of some of these other technicalities of timeline. So thank you.
Just
That's all I got first.
Miss Laura Blackhurst. Education.
All right, well, good evening, Mr. President and members of the board. I'm Laura Blackhurst, the Nursing Education Policy Analyst, and so I have 2 quick items for you this evening. My first item is on page 4 of your packet. It is a memo with a brief update from the University of Portland, alerting us of the closure of their adult gerontological primary care nurse practitioner track. As noted in the memo, this program effectively closed May 22nd after their last student has transferred out of the program. So this is just a notice. I don't have a motion, but I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Any questions? All right.
Okay. Then my second item is on page 10 of the updated packet. On page 10 is a memo summarizing a virtual survey that I conducted of Klamath Community College's practical nursing program. Again, like I stated in my memo, upon my survey, I identified that all of the standards for approval in Division 21 were either met or partially met. And in every instance that they were partially met, I gave recommendations on how to meet our standards, which they acknowledged as items to improve upon. So my recommendation is to grant this practical nursing program final approval for 5 years. This would align their approval to their registered nursing program. But I'm happy to answer any questions about my survey or the findings before I make a motion on this one.
I was actually very impressed with their first time pass rate, 100%.
Yeah.
That was amazing. Other board members, any other questions or comment?
I have one generic question. So when you have standards where the school's not completely in compliance, what's your expectation for them coming into a compliance? Is there a time frame?
That is really variable. So the expectation is that anything that is partially met, the language I use in the survey is it's intended as an action item for the program to correct. Depending on the severity of the deficiency, Like how partially are we meeting the standard? Potentially, I think you as the board can determine if more follow-up or survey is needed of the program.
And my question, Ms. Blackhurst, is so that they graduated a cohort
Mhm.
and they don't currently have anyone enrolled. Are they going to be, now that if we give them this,
Mhm.
is it their intention to then publicize this program in a way that they do start enrolling people again?
Yes, that is their intent. And actually, that is one of the reasons that I asked Director Prusak if I could bring it to this board meeting, is they would like to start admitting students for September. However, they cannot admit the next class of students until they have final approval from us.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Other board members?
I think we're ready for a motion.
Okay.
I think so.
Then I motion that Klamath Community College's practical nursing program be granted final approval as presented until March 2029.
So moved.
Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Recusals or abstentions? Hearing none, the motion carries. And thank you for getting this to us so we can get some more nursing students started. And I'm sure they're going to be excited to hear they get to keep moving forward.
Yeah, you could go give them the good news, or they're probably watching.
Yeah.
So, Mr. President, there's one board member that is having a really tough time getting in, and I'm wondering if we can just
Pause.
pause for 2 minutes so I can focus on that and not both things.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
While we're doing that, can I ask a general question? When someone is renewing, to someone in the room, when someone is renewing their nursing license, let's say they're an out-of-state person, and so they have whatever that particular license is, how their birthday's in December, when's the earliest they can renew that? When does that open?
This is kind of off the agenda a little bit.
I could put it on the next agenda because it's a good question we're talking about in Division 31.
So I don't know, since we didn't post that. we were
Okay,
going
I
to
wasn't
talk
sure if I
about
could
it.
just ask that as a general question.
No, when public meetings.
Okay.
We have to stick to our agenda.
Okay,
So that the public knows what we're going to talk about,
okay,
but we can put that on the agenda for one of the next board meetings to talk about.
okay.
Nobody wants to end up in front of the ethics committee.
Notification of other board members getting one attempting to come on.
Did it come up?
No, I didn't see anything change, but did they tell us what their notification they're getting when they're attempting the link, or during the link?
Are they using an old link maybe?
I've sent them. Do we have any? No, one sec. Can we mute?
All right, quick update. We have Linda who is joining us by phone. She's not going to be on via Zoom, but is attending the meeting.
And my only suggestion, Linda, is I think you're off mute. If you want to just announce yourself and then put yourself on mute.
Okay, Linda Stanich,
Great,
and I'm gonna mute.
great, thank you. All right, well, let's move
Can
on.
we,
Mhm.
Director Prusak, can we ask Linda very quickly if she is available on August 26th?
Absolutely. So, Linda, we were discussing, needing a very brief board meeting for Division 47, rules to vote on them. Unfortunately, due to timelines for, Secretary of State posting, for rule hearing and getting it back to you all, it won't hit the August meeting that we have. The date would be Monday, August 26th at 4:30 and would probably be around 15 minutes. That was what the board voted on. Is that something you would be able to attend? And this is so that it meets the requirements of being effective September 1st, which is something that was of importance to you.
Yes, I can attend.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Perfect. I believe that brings us to your section.
It does. Thank you very much. Mr. President and members of the board, I just draw your attention to the memo that was in your packet, discussing a follow-up to the lunch presentation that we had. I really wanted to highlight the statutes that the Board of Nursing follows, as well as the nurse ratio law. I can just read right from it, but I'm sure you all have already read it. But I just wanted to note that the Board of Nursing does not enforce the hospital staffing law, and that this responsibility falls within the purview of the Oregon Health Authority. And additionally, for mail and rest breaks, the Bureau of Labor and Industries is the governing body. But we do have the ability and obligation to investigate complaints about whether an individual's nurse practice complies with the Nurse Practice Act. And the Board of Nursing assesses every complaint received, and if we have jurisdiction over the matter alleged, conducts an investigation. The board then evaluates each matter on a case-by-case basis and determines whether a nurse has failed to comply with the NPA, and if so, what discipline is warranted. So I wanted to really highlight that the Nurse Practice Act does recognize that nurses can practice in a variety of roles and settings. And we hold all nurses accountable to the Nurse Practice Act. Does anybody have any questions? Great. Okay. Thank you.
With you first.
Hmm?
Should we be hearing you?
No, yeah, sorry. It's something in the chat right now. I want to make sure that I'm following.
There are two things in there. Let's scroll down.
Are they old? Okay, they're old. Thank you. I guess just to follow up on that, I know the board will be doing a training in September, and we'll make sure that anything that you feel is needed for education, we can do that. Moving forward, so when we looked at the 2024 dates, we didn't get to look at the 2025 dates, and there was a similar issue. So I just wanted to look at those really quickly, because I know some of you have reached out to me because you're early planners and live exciting lives and want to plan. So looking over at June, the date we had was the holiday Juneteenth. And so we would move that over to July 25th and July 26th. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. Thank you. I was about to correct myself, realizing what am I saying? So June 25th and June 26th. That would then move the July meeting to July 23rd. And then in November, to keep the timely amount of weeks, we would move November 19th and 20th to 12th and 13th.
Director Prusek, I have just, in looking at these, I have one question.
Sure.
And it's, I believe I will miss October 15th. So my question is to Joni Callis, is she available on October 15th so that we have a public member?
15 months in advance.
15 months in advance.
At this juncture, things are looking good.
Okay, we're gonna go with that then.
Any other questions about the dates?
Hearing that, I think it makes sense. I think
Were you planning on adding a strategic, like a
Thank you
training
for
or
pointing
strategic
that
day
out
in
to me
September?
too. Yeah, so just like we're doing the strategic planning day that I just mentioned in September, we didn't have that marked for next year. You guys are probably all wanting to wait until September and see how seeing each other 3 days in a row goes. But I think it would be good. Thank you for laughing, Claire, and now Joni. I think it would be good if we plan it. And so.
I think it would make sense to add it now, because we can always take it off at a later time.
Yeah. What is that, July 16th?
September.
My God, what's wrong with me?
September 16th would be Tuesday.
Okay, yeah, because I don't want to have you all here on a Friday. So September 16th for the strategic planning day?
Yes.
Yep.
So I make a motion that based on the information provided, the board approves the proposed changes to the board meeting dates presented.
Would it be presented or as modified since we added that
You're
one
right.
day?
Thank you, Secretary Hill. Based on the information provided, the board will approve the proposed changes to the board meeting dates as modified with September 16th as the strategic planning day.
So moved.
Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Recusals or abstentions? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, so I wanted to discuss a interesting exception to licensing requirements. It really is my goal to bring exceptions to the board as minimal as possible by really looking at our rules as we move forward. But you know, currently you take in Oregon, which is actually a beneficial a thing that we have our within 2 years, you have to sit for your NCLEX. Some states have never ending, which has caused some severe issues. So it's really great that Oregon has this. However, in this instance, there's somebody who took the NCLEX 15 days after 2 years, and they had some mitigating factors and shared that with you. And so it's a request on behalf of Mr. Castro's situation and the unique situation, and to take some special consideration for Elijah Castro to be able to get his nursing license. So I wanted to bring that before the board and see if there was discussion and make a motion for it.
I felt like this was a very specific case. He had a lot of things happen. And he missed the cutoff by such a short amount of time. I feel like it would behoove us to grant him his license. I mean, there were a lot of things that happened that you can't control. I don't know how the other board members, how do you feel?
I'll shake it.
All right. Hearing no one opposed, I think we're ready for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. Based on the information presented, the board grants Elijah Castro an exception to OAR 851-031-00153A as presented.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Recusals or abstentions? Hearing none, the motion carries.
Great, so this is just a letter to you all, updating you about the Oregon Wellness Program. I think Oregon Wellness Program is doing really great work, and there are many nurses in need, and they are having to figure out their funding model. And unfortunately won't be able to do endless visits. They have a plan set forth. Any comments or questions about the letter that was sent to you all?
Board members, any questions or comment on the letter? All right, I think we're good.
And then the last thing that I have on our public meeting is just putting forth the interpretive statement. Several board members have heard from the public when they've shown up for our options for public to speak to you all, and you all have asked me to do some work on this. So our policy department created a interpretive statement to add to our other interpretive statements, and it's for nursing practice with clients who use cannabis. And wondering if anybody has any questions on that.
No.
Yeah,
I don't know how to raise my hand, so I feel really.
that works.
I feel somewhat limited. Well, I guess my first question is, do we have a lot of these interpretive statements in nursing? Because, you know, some attorneys might think, oh, that's a good idea, and others like, oh, no, we don't want to make those. So I'd just be curious to hear what the stance of the Board of Nursing is on this.
I don't know how many we currently have.
Yeah, so great question, board member Hell. So I'm not sure of the exact amount. I will tell you that it is something that the policy department is looking at, because we're looking at everything that we need to update, ensuring they are current, giving statutes and rules change. They are on the website, but I do know the policy department is looking at them all. I would say the conversation around what attorneys think on this. It's an interesting conversation because it's the first one that we've done since I've been here, and this week is my year. And I think we had to, I wanted to listen to you all, who was in turn listening to the public, who said, I understand that that this law is in OHA, but it impacts nurses. So how can you not change the law, but make a statement on it? And this is how we landed.
I mean, it does strike me as somewhat generic, but the other question I would have is including the references on it, because in 1 week, 6 weeks, 6 months, these references could be old and out of date. And so how do we as a nursing board maintain the currency and value of that? Or, you know.
Yeah, no, that's a great comment. It's always changing. Nursing, medicine, science is always changing, and the policy department has had this discussion multiple times about how we can make sure there's not so many out there that they get out of date, and how do we have that that practice. And so that's a great reminder to make sure that we're responsible for that. And that did come up during this discussion, given the discussion around cannabis on the federal law, including you know, how it is categorized in the controlled category of drugs. So I think it will be one that we have to monitor closely for any updates that might be needed.
I just want a directive of staff. Sorry, Claire.
What's that?
Is that something then that staff is regularly looking at? And
So as the policy department has done a great bit of work on our divisions, and as we're doing all the work to approach the legislature on our statutes next year, ensuring that our interpretive statements are accurate and up to date is on that list and is probably, given we are coming close to the plan for the year, gonna be able to really address it. Okay. But thanks for bringing that up publicly. It's important.
Claire?
Oh, thank you. And I apologize, Joni, for cutting you off. I didn't see you. I just want to say I really appreciate this because I think with the difference between federal and state law, I think this is really helpful. And this is one of the things that I've seen a lot is that nurses are uncomfortable because of the history. But yet this is something that's it's used a fair amount out there. And so if we can't talk about it, yeah, nurses having this guidance is really helpful. Also, I was going to say, just because Joni had said something about, do we have a lot of these? One thing I've noticed is I feel like Oregon has actually pretty few, has few compared to other states, interpretive statements. So, yeah.
Good to know.
California and Washington. So, anyways, it just thank you though for creating this.
Yeah, well, I will pass along that gratitude. And I know, Marcus, you're shaking your head. And I think what you just touched upon though, Claire, was why it was prioritized. People came to you all saying, yes, while this law passed and yes, while it's adopted in OHA's laws, nurses still feel uncomfortable and we need the Board of Nursing to align with the National Council and everyone else. So thanks. All right, can I make a motion?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, so I make a motion that the board approves the OSBN interpretive statement on nursing practice with clients who use cannabis.
So moved.
Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? Recusals or abstentions? Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, I'm gonna take us into executive session, then we'll take a break.
I think
Should we
let's
take a
take,
break?
let's take the break so
Yeah.
then we
Okay.
can do roll call before we go into
All right.
executive session.
We'll take a 10-minute break,
We do 5.
5-minute break. Be back at, let's take 7. Be back at 15 after.
5:15.
5:15.
Yeah,
Okay.
5:15. All right, we are back. Since we had a few people join, I'd just like the board members to say your name. We won't do an official roll call, but just have the board members who are on say their name. So the public knows who's here. Aaron Green, board president.
We're not gonna know who to go next.
Marcus Cooksey, member.
Claire McKinley Yoder, member.
Joni Kalis, public member.
Michelle
Margaret
Chow,
Hill.
board member.
Margaret Hill, public member secretary.
Linda Stanich, board member.
Is that Nikki?
I think so.
Nikki, is that you dialing in?
Well, she's not in yet. Is she?
Yeah, oh, she's in.
Okay, I see the chance.
We should figure out who that is.
Who's the 540-214?
Nikki.
Okay,
Okay.
perfect. All right, that's all the board members. We'll do a staff roll call.
Christine Barrington,
Present.
Nikki Bloomquist,
Present.
Peggy Burns,
Present.
Dave Chambly.
Here.
Aaron Ferris present. Patty Gebhardt. Mike Hatch. Aaron Ferris present.
I am here.
Patty Gebhardt. Mike Hatch.
I am present.
Mildly disturbing to hear my voice. That's- Okay. Heather Johnson.
I'm here. Can you not hear me?
We can now.
Okay.
Lee Kaba,
I'm here.
Leslie Kilborn,
Present.
Brittany McCormick,
Present.
Dante Messina,
Present.
Miriam Montalvo,
Here.
Wendy New. Leah Oliver,
Present.
Maria Parrish.
Present.
Riley Potter.
Isn't he excused?
Oh, that's right, he's excused. Thanks. Leslie Smith,
Present.
Chad Steele,
Present.
Molly Tauby,
Present.
Lisa Trainer,
Present.
Tanya Wade,
Present.
Executive Director Rachel Prusak,
Present.
Lauren Rauch,
Present.
Kristen Williams.
Present. And I think you also have Laura Blackhurst, policy analyst, joining
Still present.
as well.
Yes, present.
Thank you.
All right. It is 5:21 PM. The Oregon State Board of Nursing will now meet in executive session to consider information of records that are exempt from public inspection, including advice from legal counsel, and to consider information obtained as part of investigation into licensee or applicant conduct. Executive session is held pursuant to ORS 192.660 sub 1, ORS 192.660 2F, H, and L, ORS 678.126, ORS 676.165, ORS 676.175 sub 1. Members of the news media may remain during executive session, but are directed not to report on, record, or otherwise disclose any of the deliberations or information discussed during executive session. If you are a member of the public, please note that the public video stream will be unavailable during executive session. No final action will take place in executive session. At the end of executive session, the board will return to public session for the purpose of taking formal action on matters discussed in executive session. While the board is in public session, the public video stream will be available. What's our estimated end time?
6.
Our estimated end time is 6 p.m.
It is now 6:03 PM and the Oregon State Board of Nursing is still meeting in executive session. The new estimated end time of executive session is 6:33 PM. It is now 6:33 PM and the Oregon State Board of Nursing is still meeting in executive session. The new estimated end time of executive session is 7 PM. It is now 7:01 PM and the Oregon State Board of Nursing is still meeting in executive session. The new estimated end time of executive session is 7:15 PM.
It is 7:16 and the board will now exit executive session. It is now still 7:16 and the board will now meet in public session for the purpose of taking formal action on matters discussed in executive session. Is there a motion?
Mr. President, members of the board, based on the procedural record and evidence presented, to accept the disciplinary consent agenda as modified by removing the case 2022-110045.
So moved.
Is there a second for the motion?
Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Recusals or abstentions? Hearing none, the motion carries.
Based on the evidence presented in case 2024-05-0302 to grant the reinstatement of license.
So moved.
Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Recusals or abstentions? Hearing none, the motion carries.
Based on the evidence presented in case 2024-01-0023, the signed stipulation for civil penalty be adopted.
So moved.
Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? Recusals or abstentions? Hearing none, the motion carries.
Based on the evidence in cases based on the evidence presented in cases 2022-100-105, 2023-080-210, the signed stipulations for voluntary surrender be adopted.
So moved.
Seconded.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Recusals or abstentions? Hearing none, the motion carries.
Based on the evidence presented in cases 23-00209 and 2023-110146, the signed stipulations for reprimand be adopted.
So moved.
Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Recusals or abstentions? Motion carries.
Based on the evidence presented in cases 2023-100271, 2023-100207, 2023-030019, 2024-030282, the signed stipulations for reprimand be adopted.
So moved.
Seconded.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. All those opposed? Recusals or abstentions?
Mr. President, I just want to abstain on the last case call because I abstained originally. 202-403-0282. Thank you.
Motion carries with Callis abstaining from that case.
Based on the evidence presented in case 2024-050117, the signed amended stipulation be adopted.
So moved.
Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? Recusals or abstentions? Motion carries.
Based on the evidence presented in cases 2022-120005, 2022-110049, 2023-080-257, 2024-040108, 2023-110050, 2023-090142, 2023-05-0005, the notice of proposed denial be issued.
So moved.
Seconded.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Recusals or abstentions? Motion carries.
Based on the evidence presented in case 2023-03-0225, the notice of proposed reprimand with civil penalty of $27 per incident for 11 incidents be issued.
So moved.
Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
Recusals or abstentions? Motion carries with one nay.
Based on the evidence presented in cases 2023-01-0038, 47, and case 4717, the notices of proposed revocation be issued.
So moved.
Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Any recusals or abstentions? Motion carries.
Based on the evidence presented in case 2023-04-0088, an order for evaluation be issued.
So moved.
Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Recusals or abstentions? Motion carries.
Based on the evidence presented in case number 23-00094 to dismiss with a letter of concern.
So moved.
Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Recusals or abstentions? Motion carries.
Based on the evidence presented in case number 2024-06-0231, the notice of proposed revocation be issued.
So moved.
Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. All those opposed? Any recusals or abstentions? Motion carries.
Based on the evidence presented in case 2024-01-0105, the signed stipulation for reprimand be adopted.
So moved.
Seconded.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Any recusals or abstentions? Motion carries.
Based on the evidence presented in case 23-00014, the signed stipulation for probation be adopted.
So moved.
Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Recusals or abstentions? Motion carries.
Based on the evidence presented in case 2023-100029, the notice of proposed reprimand be issued.
So moved.
Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
Recusals or abstentions? Motion carries with one opposed.
Based on the evidence presented in case number 2023-06-0041, the signed stipulated order for limitation of RN license and $5,000 civil penalty be adopted.
So moved.
Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Any recusals or abstentions? Motion carries.
Based on the evidence presented in case 23-00178, the withdrawal of notice of proposed revocation and to dismiss the case.
So moved.
Seconded.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Recusals or abstentions? Motion carries.
Based on the evidence presented in case 22-00775, the case be dismissed.
So moved.
Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Recusals or abstentions? Motion carries. All right, we made it.
Great work, everyone.
Just need to formally adjourn.
All right, it is now 7:26 PM and the meeting is adjourned.
Thank
See you guys all
you.